Took me to a room and strip searched me.
And later, the clothing comes off again.
I did have an erection once doing a love scene.
In the early 1990s, Ewan McGregor was a young star on the rise. Critics and theater audiences were impressed with his dynamic talent, but it wasn't until the 1995 British film Trainspotting that moviegoers took notice. Ewan played a drug addict, and he played it to the hilt. In fact, maybe he played it too well.
For a long time in the tabloid press in Britain, it said Ewan McGregor, heroin addict, was yesterday, you know. So I was kind of labelled a heroin addict. But I don't think seriously. The only time I had that was, unfortunately, in America. I was coming to do an episode of ER, and I arrived at Chicago Airport, and I had a Warner Brothers visa in my passport. And the guy looked at it, and he went, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm an actor. I've come to do this television show in Chicago called ER." And he went, right. What do I know you from? And I went, well, at that time, I said, the only film that I've done that's been here would be Trainspotting. And he went, oh, yeah. And he wrote something on my thing. And then I went to the next, you know, I don't know what the customs system is here. I went to the next bit and gave them this bit of paper that he'd given me, and they went, oh, yeah, you need to go over there. And I was walking towards the red bit, and the green bit was over there, and I thought, it's weird. So I got over there, and they had every single thing out of my bag. They took me to a room and strip searched me. And
really? I think he wrote Ewan McGregor, heroin addict.
Well, he associated that film and just imagined that I would be carrying a lot of heroin.
That's odd.
Stupid man.
I remember that episode, the robbery episode. I was glad.
Excellent.
That was kind of different. Why did you decide to do that?
I loved ER. I love ER. But I loved it more then. It's funny, something about doing something when you see backstage, even as you know, I've been on a lot of film sets and stuff, but still knowing that kind of those rooms and the way they use the rooms with the Steadicams and the two operating theatres and the layout of it so well, somehow being on it and seeing it for what it is and realising that it's you know, there are cameras and lights. Even for the experienced actor, still takes some of the shine off it now. It's a shame, isn't it? But I did it purely because I loved the show. Usually they film in the studio here in LA and they go to Chicago, I believe, you know, and shoot maybe 3 or 4 episodes exteriors there. However, we did the whole thing there, except for a couple of days here. It was very exciting for me in many ways. I mean, it felt different. It was very, very fast. You know, it's a very well-oiled crew. I wasn't used to that, and I liked that, being kept on the go all day long.
And you were here, and didn't your little girl get sick?
She did, yeah, then. Yeah, which was a nightmare.
Ewan had a daughter in 1996 with his wife, Ev, a production designer. Ewan and Ev met during the making of a British TV show.
So I was doing this thing about, you know, on the last couple of days in the studios here with tubes and blood and tubes and machines and stuff, and then I had to rush back to London to see my little baby in the real situation, you know, which was a nightmare. She got meningitis.
Well, he was in LA and he had to wait 16 hours, I think, before he got a flight. I remember him talking about being in this hotel room all night and not being there.
So that was very hard. It was very difficult. It was the longest flight I ever took in my life, that's for sure. I've always been stopped in customs, you know, because I just looked like someone who was, I don't know, used to always get in trouble. I got off that plane, and all I had to do was to get in a car to get to the hospital to see my baby and my wife. And I got off into customs, and I must just have looked like a man who was going to kill somebody if they stopped me. And they didn't. I went straight through and in the car. But I'll remember that, going through, just looking, thinking, if you stop me, I can't be responsible for what I might do, you know. It was an awful nightmare, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It's a terrible thing that you would hope never to experience. The very real risk of losing your kid is something that takes a long time to get over, you know. Nasty. Nasty.
Well, she's great now.
She's fine now, yeah, and that's brilliant. And she's got a little sister now who she adores, and that's really lovely. And it's incredible, you know, they are incredible. The people, you very rarely, some moments in your life you really appreciate what other people do and what other people have chosen to do with their life. And there was 2 doctors who saved my daughter's life, you know, without whom she wouldn't be here. And I can't tell you what that feels like. And it's a great feeling, because I just had such admiration for what they'd spent their whole you know, working lives trying to achieve, and there it was in practice. And as a result, my wee girl's 6 now, you know, so it's that's fantastic.
When we return,
I know you've been nude
Yeah.
in several films.
Yeah.
Was that ever hard?
Sorry?